What is up, everybody? Yo, what's up, Nevin? How you doing, my friend? Hello, hello, hello! Doesn't look too bad. It's better than nothing, I guess. Let's see. So the two main articles we're going to be looking at are they're two Paul Tassi articles. But he, I believe, links to other articles as well. So if we have to expand on what we're looking at, we of course will. We got some articles. Let me turn on dark mode, because websites that are by default light mode, they're ran by fucking psychotic people, bro. Congrats on new motor. What the fuck? Oh, Junior, sorry, I thought you were talking about me. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yes, Junior, congrats, brother. Let's go. You look at leaks now. So this is a very important thing. The leaks I don't look at are like very pertinent to the game. Right, so it's like I never look at story leaks. I don't like leaks about, you know, secrets or events or data mines or cutscenes like that. I have always personally looked at like gun rolls and stuff for guns that are in the API but not out yet. But I tend not to share that information on stream out of respect for people who don't want to know. This sort of stuff, when it comes to, do we have a fucking game to play after this? This is not like this isn't like a leak about the game, right? Like if these had synopses and story beats and stuff, we would not be looking at these. These are purely, hey, the game is going to exist. It might look something like this. That sort of stuff I think is important to me at least. So, yeah. Yeah, but like if this was like, oh, in this DLC we fucking Ahamkara and we get a raid that is like set on Europa, and then, you know, like I wouldn't look at that. So yeah, as I see, there's nothing compared to Destiny 2 to put here. I say I'm playing Destiny 2 and the server shuts down. I definitely look, the reality is, for me, obviously I love this franchise, but I play a lot of video games. And with the cadence that we're going to be talking about here, it's not going to be enough to sustain, you know? So I will still cover Destiny 2 as long as it's a thing. But I don't know if I don't know if there's other games. I'll be streaming other games. I'll be making videos for other games during that time. If not, I guess there just won't be much content between DLCs. I'm not really sure what that looks like for my channel, but we'll fucking find out together, my friends. So they had us all convinced they were committed to a Destiny 2, so we'd shut up about Destiny 3, but it was all a front to Incubate, Marathon, and 3 other projects. I did a lot more than fucking 3, brother. I don't necessarily think it was a front. I think the people telling us that there were, like, look, the fact is like, the people, like, let's take Luke Smith's thing, right? When Luke Smith told us fucking 3 months ago or whatever that there was more Destiny to come, like, he truly believed that because he was leading that project, right? That was just before it got canned. But I think the reality is there have been missteps very many missteps along the way, and leadership has allowed us to believe things. This is obviously almost worst case scenario in terms of Destiny as a franchise, but do you plan to play Marathon? Yes, I'm very excited for Marathon personally. I will definitely I'll try any of the alphas, betas. If Bungie wants to fly me out, I'm more than happy to check it out. I am excited for Marathon. I mean, I mean, for multiple reasons, but Bungie's even though I don't really stream them or haven't really historically, I did a little bit of Fortnite, but like, I have a lot of fun with PvP games. Like I played a ton of Fortnite, a ton of Apex, played a lot of Warzone, a lot of COD multiplayer. Like I like multiplayer games. I just never really have gone into making content for them. Marathon, I love the aesthetic, I love the vibe, the ideal that, you know, there might be a based off of what Christopher Barrett said before he was kicked out of the project or whatever. The original idea was that there was a lot of secrets and world building and stuff, and I love that. That's like my thing. And then, you know, Bungie's gunplay is like literally second to none. So yeah, I'm excited. I think it has a lot of promise. We'll see though. I mean, I know literally as much as all of you, which is fuck all. So who knows, man? I'll tell you, I'll be able to tell you a lot more accurately how excited I am after like a trailer of some gameplay drops. I'll tell you that. So the game needs to end and Bungie needs to get their shit together and move on from Destiny 2. I just, like, when people say that, I don't really understand what, like, the end goal of that statement is. What about Darko's new album? I haven't listened to it. Darko's, like, one of the, like, that's past my normal threshold for psychoticness, you know, heaviness. So, like, I dabble in Darko, but they're definitely not, like, in my normal rotation. I can only take so much of that, you know? Not that they're bad, it's just, you know, I'd say like the heaviest I listen to normally is like Knocked Loose, something like that. What direction do you want Destiny as a franchise to go? That's a awful question to ask me, because I would say all of them. Yeah, I don't know. Yo, Steven, what's up? Yeah, people wondering what types of games I might cover in the future. I have been saying for literally years I would love to get into Call of Duty Zombies content, and Call of Duty Zombies has been shit for the last multiple years. So I fucking have no choice now, I guess. I mean, I still do all the zombie stuff. I just usually do it either like on a one-off stream or offline, but fuck it. I Prevail was sick. I think a lot of people are underestimating how Marathon's going to turn out. I think a lot of people feel disenfranchised because of Marathon, and I think that's understandable, but I think it's important to not project. Remember, these are still very, very talented, passionate employees, and we know nothing about the game. Like, we can't sit here and talk about it. We know extraction shooter, hyperpop wave, and if the original vision holds true from Christopher Barrett, we know secrets. That's literally all we know. That's nothing. If someone was like, oh, yeah, if someone was like describing Destiny to you and they were like, looter shooter, space opera, wizard shit, that sounds pretty fucking bad. You know what I mean? So it's just like, we just have to wait and kind of see. The end goal with the end Destiny is literally boiled down to Destiny bad, Bungie bad. Yeah, I guess. I just don't understand. Like, if you don't like something, just don't play it. What? I just, like... What is the purpose of, like, wanting something that is not, like, actively hurting you to end? You know what I mean? Like, if other people are enjoying it, but you're not, actively wanting it to end I don't know, it's just kind of douchey because it's like, oh, those people are still enjoying it, fuck them. It's kind of like how I am with Gambit, but I'm like that with Gambit satirically, where I'm like, oh, I don't give a fuck if anyone's playing Gambit. The 3 people, they'll be fine. Get rid of Gambit. Honestly, like, obviously that's a joke every time I go into it. But I feel like people do that unironically with Destiny. It's like, just stop playing. Let people enjoy it, though. You know what I mean? I don't know. Don't we also know that Marathon will have heroes now instead of customizable characters? But like, what does that mean? There's 1,000 ways that can manifest. It's just weird. I mean, because like heroes in you know, as they appear in like Call of Duty as operators versus how they appear in like League of Legends versus how they appear in Valorant versus how they appear in Overwatch. You know, it's always different. You know, there's different extents. I mean, you could even argue like the finals had heroes with the 3 set classes or whatever, right? But it's just like how that manifests in a game can be completely different. It is what it is. You know what I mean? I wouldn't really freak out about that until we see it. Once we see it, then feel free to freak out about it. But we have no idea what the fuck that means. How do you feel about the investment you put in the game for all to presumably disappear if they shut off the servers? That's fine. But it's also not like... unless Bungie is gone, Destiny isn't getting shut off. It'll still... even if they stop making content for it, it will still be like passive income, Eververse and stuff, you know? People buying old DLCs. Like, I have a hard time believing they would... especially as popular as it still is. Like, you can just go look at how many people still play Destiny 1. You know what I mean? It's not a ton, but enough. And Destiny 1 barely is monetized at this point. Do you expect Destiny to do better now since it's... what we're going to read, that'll put that into perspective. So... hero shooters always scare me. It's fun in the beginning. You can really create a cool squad, but then there become so many heroes that squad builds are almost pointless. Yeah, I guess it really depends. Once again, is this really? I guess the question is this hero shooter. We don't know anything about Marathon, so we don't know. Like, do you have like special abilities? Do you have a grappling hook on some characters? Do you have whatever XYZ whatever? Or is it going to be more akin to operators in Call of Duty, where it's like they just look different? But all the gameplay is identical. I personally hope it's more that. Like, I agree, like, the more specialized, like, different character thing. I think some games do it really well. It can be really overwhelming. So I do hope it's, like, level playing field type shit. But we do not know. Black Ops operators have... I'm talking about modern Call of Duty. Modern Call of Duty. What's the current one? Modern Warfare 3, you know, that sort of stuff. I don't really remember Black Ops 4, but Black Ops 3 definitely had operator abilities. I don't know if Black Ops 4 did. I don't know if any other game except for Black Ops 3 did. I don't remember. There's too many of them, and I don't play enough. But, you know, none of the other ones since then have. So. I have heavy doubts about the whole next few expansions will be free. Like, yeah, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this. Don't worry. I'm also skeptical. That's crazy, Caden. I'm utterly convinced Marathon will have more of an operator system than a hero system. That's kind of how I'm leaning, but that could be copium. I don't know. Rainbow Six Siege still has been going for 10 years. They just announced another 10-year support and still add shit to this day. Why can't Destiny get that love? The difference is Rainbow Six is what, made by probably maybe a couple hundred people. I don't know that for sure. I've played once, but it's not a huge game. You know what I mean? Destiny is just fucked in scale. It is insane. You know what I mean? Like 1/3 of Destiny is still probably bigger than Rainbow Six Siege. And it's higher cost. It's a different game. It's harder to retain people in something like this. I don't even know how many people still play Rainbow Six. I don't know how big of a game it is, but it's just different. It's easier to get into. That's right. There's not all these years of lore built into, or there might be for Rainbow Six, but you know, it's not like a looter shooter. So yeah, they're just completely different. It's hard to compare those two. A better comparison would be like World of Warcraft. You know, why is that? How is that game still going? There's still differences, but I think World of Warcraft or maybe Warframe. I'm not as familiar with Warframe, but Warframe's probably a good example. Like how are those games compared to this and that sort of stuff. So if you're a CEO starting tomorrow, what would be your first 3 objectives for Destiny? If I was a CEO tomorrow, my objectives would not necessarily be on a single game. Like I fully believe that a CEO is kind of like a president, in my opinion, right? Like a CEO should be really good at building a team of people that are higher level experts on individual things, and I kind of manage that team. So my goal as a CEO would be more on the humanitarian aspect, like make sure everyone has good livelihoods and things like that. But let's say like I was game director for Destiny. I mean, that's a very fucking hard question because I don't really think any version of the seasons or the episodes or the 2, I don't think the 2 things per year, the 3 things per year, or the 4 things per year, none of those have been perfect. You know what I mean? So it's hard to make like a definitive thing. I just play the game. You know, I'm a chemist. I don't know anything about this shit, but I can sure complain about it though. Only 250 people working on Siege. Yeah, I mean, look, after layoffs, there's still, 600 people working on Destiny or something. It's massive. It's just not even close. And it's after they lost half of their company in the last year, So, I don't know. I do agree, Canadian, that the Destiny IP seems too valuable to not do anything extra with. I mean, it is incredibly popular, and there are definitely more ways you can make it approachable, so. I don't know. Why are you still hopeful? I have no idea. I still think, like, I think at the end of the day, there are bright spots. Like, this could have been worse. More people could have lost their livelihoods. Destiny could be absolutely done. But there's still some stuff to look forward to. Which content cadence has been your personal favorite? I don't know. It's still to be determined between episodes and seasons, personally. Definitely the 2 expansions I think was awful. I think it is the worst ever, and then we're kind of returning to that, but worse. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I guess we can start reading this. What's your opinion on Sea of Thieves? Never played. So. Okay. Which one was written? Okay, this one was written yesterday. This is Paul Tassi. Good friend of mine. Goodbye. I wish this was like centered on my screen. I guess it's actually probably better that it's not, so I don't take it up. In the wake of Bungie's mass layoffs and transfer of roles to Sony, the future of Destiny 2 and other projects remain unclear. The official line from Bungie is that nothing about announced plans have changed, which means 2 Destiny episodes, Frontiers after that, and Marathon in 2025. I'm very curious about this because Marathon's in a very weird spot where they just got a lot of new talent from other incubation projects. Like, we know they pulled off everything that they canceled that didn't get moved to like PlayStation. They moved over to Marathon. That has been internally or leaked internally to us through reporting. So Marathon just got a lot of new talent. That team is a lot bigger, and they lost people. I don't really know what the numbers look like now, but Marathon is the thing that Bungie is focusing on now the most. This is definitely like internally it's been joked that it's they are joking that it's make or break. Maybe not so much joking. Marathon is their big thing. If they're targeting 2025, but they know it needs to be perfect, this puts the whole rollout of Marathon in an incredibly interesting situation for me. So I don't really know what this is going to look like. So, you know, people mentioned there's a PlayStation Direct later this month. Do they go ahead and announce it? I would assume not. But I don't know. Like, do we expect this to come out in the fall? Do we expect this to come out in the summer? It'll probably... that's another hard one. Like, are they going to want to try to compete with any huge games coming out next year? Like, is it going to cost money? There's so many questions surrounding Marathon. So I think what they have to do is make sure that this marketing campaign is literally fucking perfect. I think it has to be perfect. We'll talk about Destiny raid content here in a second. Don't worry about that. I think the Marathon marketing campaign needs to be large community involvement, you know, another ARG, something like that. You need to get people hyped. People that are familiar with Bungie are very disillusioned with Bungie right now. And people outside of that sphere still have probably heard some bad things about Bungie. So I think they need to distance a little bit. So I expect an official reveal of this in the first quarter of 2025. Might come out in the summer, might come out in the fall. Those are my predictions. You're not going to want it to compete with Call of Duty in the winter. So it'll be one of those two things, in my opinion. Large scale community thing. They'll probably pay a bunch of popular like Tarkov or Apex streamers or something to come play or reveal or something like that. They will need to leverage the full power of marketing and content creators for this, for sure. It was originally slated for this year. I think it would drop in Q1. If it was dropped in Q1, if that happens, if we don't get a trailer this month, it's not dropping in Q1. There's no way. Or I guess September. It's hard. That's just such a... Q1's a very odd time to drop things. But, we'll see. The higher-ups wanting Marathon to appeal to a younger audience is concerning to me. I would not be too concerned because Call of Duty and Fortnite both appeal to a young... and have historically appealed... and Halo historically appealed to a younger audience. Probably that 18 to 36 range has been their core demographic, probably aiming under 25 mostly, and that they have done incredibly well. I would argue Apex is probably in there too. Like that, like it or not, we're just fucking old, boys. The fact that there isn't form a trailer at this point is crazy. I mean, we have the one trailer, but if it's not launching until fall or summer, it's not that surprising we don't have a trailer. Now they know. I mean, there's so much pressure riding on that marketing. Concord, I think, shows that marketing, especially for PvP games, is unbelievably important. And the Marathon team, I'm sure, is they're cooking as hard as they can because they're gonna need a baller fucking marketing campaign. Just some cool trailers isn't gonna do it at this point, I don't think. So we'll have to see. About to see. Think about the Vidocs we used to get like a year ahead for Halo and Destiny. We already got the Marathon Vidoc. So they dropped the original Marathon Vidoc was before everything got delayed. So they released the Vidoc that I helped. Then I saw. You're welcome. And that was it was originally supposed to come out. I think it was supposed to come out in Q2 of this year. I think. If I'm not mistaken, it might have been Q3, but I think it was Q2, like beginning of summer, end of spring. And so we already got that rollout, but then it was delayed. So now they're gonna have to cook something else up. So if they'd rein in the cheaters. We already know for Marathon, like they're investing much more heavily in anti-cheat. They're investing in dedicated servers, that sort of thing. Like they're going all in on this. They're spending a lot of money on the infrastructure here. Yeah, maybe a release date tease. I would be very surprised if we don't get some sort of another ARG or something though. But we'll have to see. September and October are having games being launched out, so Bungie could be in the shadow if it did come out of those months. Yeah, that's what I think. This one is so important that they're going to keep it out. It's also like, the other question is, can this be successful if it's not free? You know what I mean? Like, the monetization of this has to be Fortnite, Apex style, right? Like, does anyone disagree with that? I just think, like, who nowadays, with how many free PvP games that we have, who's going to spend 60, even $40 on this? No, I just don't. You know, they'll have all the data, but just like all of the popular PvP games, I think PUBG is free now, Apex is free, Fortnite is free, you know, the finals isn't really that big, is free. Is Valorant free? Or does Valorant cost money? Overwatch costs money. They're clearly trying to move on from Destiny. I don't fully agree with that either, because if they were trying to move on from Destiny, they just would have killed Destiny and moved on from it at this point. This would have been literally the perfect time to do that. Destiny's bleeding money. You know, they've already said, we already have 2,000 reports over the last 3 years that Destiny's just not making that money like it used to, or on the scale that it needs to. I think if they were officially moving on from Destiny, they would have just killed it here. Valorant is free. Overwatch is free. CSGO is free. Okay, it's got to be free. It's got to be free. So interesting. Okay, well, yeah, I think Marathon's got to be free. I think it has to be. We'll see. And yeah, I guess. And they're not going to want it to overlap with Destiny. So when this season ends in October, and then what's 4 months? February will be the start of the next. I bet this comes out in June. Or I bet April, May, June is when Marathon comes out. That's what I'm going to say. And then we get a trailer early. Maybe we get a live stream. We get a stream showing off episode 3 in like February. Like a big Bungie stream or a PlayStation stream, something. And that'll also show off Marathon for later next quarter. No, we don't have an exact date for Frontiers. They could easily push that out. We don't know for sure. When is Game Awards? Isn't that usually in August though? No, something else is in August. All the other ones are in August. Game Awards is early in the year, right? No, Game Awards is December. Game Awards is December because I remember the Witch Queen. Yeah. Okay, good. That could happen. That could happen. Do you think there will be a mini Marathon hype up event in Destiny? I mean, we already got the emblems. Maybe. Gamescom is next week. I don't think. Has Bungie been confirmed to be at Gamescom? If it's Gamescom, it'll be Q1 of next year. That could be another thing they do. They could release Marathon Q1 of next year and delay episode 3. They're just not going to want those to come out at the same time. I don't think. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong there, but yeah, I don't know. I'm super interested in this. You know, we've always said that it was said before Final Shape. It was said before Forsaken. It was, well, really before Witch Queen, but we know historically, when Bungie needs to fucking lock in, holy fuck do they lock in. I don't know what it is in the water over there, But those developers are when they have a strict deadline in a high pressure situation, goddamn, can they just put out some of the best content we've ever seen? And you know, Marathon is that right now, so we'll see. I think there will be a Destiny gun in Marathon since we have the Mida series. So I didn't know. I learned this the other day that Mida is a Marathon gun. I didn't know that. And now we have Wastelander too. So yeah, it would be cool to see a Destiny gun in Marathon. I think that could be really fun. Just something silly like Suros or Kvostov. Maybe Hardlight. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like Neo Wave type stuff. So we'll see. Except all those people are gone now. I think a lot more OGs are working on Marathon than you might realize. Just they're all quiet. You know, the whole Marathon team is silent right now. What are your thoughts on the possibility of a Destiny 3? I mean, we've had it confirmed that Destiny 3 has never been in the works and is not currently planned. So if Destiny 3 happens, it'll be 7-8 years away at this point. So is Scott Taylor and Steve Kahn still on Marathon? We checked their LinkedIn's the other day, and I believe both of them still appear to be on Marathon, yeah. So, further reporting has dug into precisely what has happened next, and I'll try to add to that with additional context, content, and clarifications from conversations with sources familiar with the situation. It is certainly possible things don't come to pass as plans change. This spans a number of topics, and I may alter bits and pieces of this further if further info continues to come in. So this is allegedly from Destiny sources, people that work there, people that used to work there. This is allegedly the current plan, although almost a year out, definitely things subject to change. You know, if any of this comes to fruition, we are 8 to 10 months at least away from seeing any of this. So here we go. The larger content packs, though not true expansions, will contain familiar elements like new destinations, new raids, and campaigns. Just a much smaller scale on the whole. Shadowkeep-ish size maybe, though not that same format. A goal is developing more replayable, unique activities like the Coil. If we are leaving the system, that's Paul Tassy's speculation, that's not confirmed, this is where we'd see those new worlds to visit. I'm not sure if this is free. So we are going to be getting... Paul seems to believe one of these a year. A smaller DLC that will start your year. So we will still be seeing annual DLCs, but they'll be much smaller, much more reined in size. But we will still be seeing new destinations, new raids, new campaigns. For me, yo, what's up, Kevin? I'm definitely worried about this, but I do like that I feel like they should have done this a long time ago, but I like the shift to more replayable activities at the very least. None of this is perfect, don't get me wrong, but it is so often that DLCs launch with like Empire hunts, Wellspring, Nightmare hunts, altars of the one on the moon, whatever that's called, altars of sorrow. There you go. They'll launch with these things that you do for a little bit, and then they're never super replayable. And so a lot of that, especially like Wellspring, just feels like a huge waste of like development time. So, we'll see. Shadowkeep wasn't terrible size, and yeah, that does make me think that this is because he clarifies my speculation later. This Shadowkeep-ish size does seem to be a guess from a Bungie employee. Overthrow is really good. I think Overthrow is a great example of something like this, actually. Like, nice, replayable, unique activities. Maybe not as replayable as Coil, but much better than they traditionally do. Yo, what's up, Lab? Do you think with these cutbacks that we'll even get the mid-episode season balancing? Yeah, I do. Mostly because... as far as I can tell, none of the sandbox team or the weapon or the armor team, like, no, I didn't see anyone from like that get cut. So So I don't know. Shadowkeep size isn't the worst thing in the world. Personally, it's not the best thing, but it's better than nothing. My number one thing, like, if nothing else for Destiny, I am so happy that we are still getting raids and presumably dungeons as well. For me, that is huge. The raid, like, if campaigns get cut from Destiny or scaled back, I'll be sad, but it's fine. If future raids get cut from Destiny, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how much longer I'm lasting, to be completely honest. Raids are number one important thing for me personally. So that is my number one thing. So I'm happy that is at least, soft confirmed internally. That will be the main releases of a given year, I believe, starting with Frontier's launch. Then 6 months later, there will be another pack of smaller content that's more akin to something along the lines of what we got with Into the Light. This should be free. Between these, there may be something akin to current episodes, though the scale and the schedule is not clear. So the leak that the Destiny Leaks people reported was that it is content drop, 6 months later content drop, but both of those will also have seasons. That's very close to this, but it does appear that we will get like small expansion, and with that, or soon after, we'll get a season or an episode. And then 6 months later, we get an Into the Light drop, and then soon after, or with that, we get another episode. So less content overall, for sure, 100%. But still stuff, and realistically, I think what this will look like is like 2 months of content, dead space. 2 months of content, dead space. To me, that's how I read this, and that makes me very worried. So, yo, what's up, Martins? And remember, this is all leaks and not really speculation, but internally, Bungie might not even know exactly what is going to happen right now, and it's gonna continue to shape as this is formed. So this is not the final version of this. It's just the most likely thing that we think is going to happen. Raids realistically aren't worth creating because how many players interact with them. I think that was true in Destiny 1. I do not think that is true anymore. Raids have a significant push in the game right now. They are much more popular than they've ever been. And then you have to think of like the free marketing essentially that raids give you with the raid race, all of that. I think in Destiny 1 that narrative was true, but we're 10 years past that. I don't think it's true anymore. How would you feel if they had to stop making dungeons so they can make 2 raids a year? I don't think that is going to happen, but I would rather 1 raid than 2 dungeons. So there's no reason that once Marathon gets off the ground, they can't work on both games. They are currently working on both games, and they have already said, I think someone said this. I don't remember if this is Jason Schreier or Grubb, but one of them said that the majority of employees are still working on Destiny. There seems to be a lot of guessing in this article. Yeah. That is, I mean, look, all of this stuff would have been taking shape within the last couple of weeks, last week. And then this is secondhand information where it's someone talking to an employee. Yeah, I mean, it is going to be speculative because that's all you have. People, I guarantee so many people within Bungie still have no idea what's going to happen. But this is the best indication, or this is the best, this is the closest we're going to get to the real truth for now. Between these, there might be something akin to current episodes. Generally speaking, the idea is less sprawling one-off campaigns and a greater focus on replayable activities, the hobby aspects. With the new Frontiers format, these aren't as widespread updates that will hit every facet of the game at once like most expansions used to. It will be less than players are used to, not to say there will not be things worth playing. I think that's cool too. Like, I think Into the Light was a great example of a more scaled, there wasn't the span of Into the Light wasn't really that big. I guess it did hit PvP a little bit with the new maps or whatever, but it was mostly like endgame PvE, right? Like 2 exotic missions, secret exotic missions that were reprised, Pantheon, and Into the Light. Not a ton of content, but the way it was delivered was very good. Quality, I mean, this could be for years. For years, I've had people come in my chat, in my comment section, and just say, I just wish Bungie would focus on quality over quantity. It appears you all are about to get your wish. Whoever wanted that, because it does seem like they're going to be very, very, very direct in focusing on things that we want to replay. So, not my favorite version of what could happen, I suppose, but it is definitely better than nothing. And we still get that kind of expansion every year. So we'll see, even if it's smaller. So what's interesting about this, it seems like the thing that is going to be free is like the Into the Light part. So I think we'll still probably have to pay for the Shadowkeep expansion thing. So, yeah, that is really crazy. Yeah, it came out that the devs, the Strike team making the PvP maps, didn't know that they were going to be making them until Joe's video came out on Twitter. That's insane. Hear me out. It would be best for Bungie to be part of Sony fully, and the teams can help with raids or dungeons. And guys. If Destiny is not making money right now, it doesn't matter if they get fully absorbed into Sony or not. That doesn't change the financials of the game. It's the problem is not they don't have enough people to work on Destiny, because they just let those people go. I just spit everywhere. I don't know if you saw that. It's kind of embarrassing, but they just let those people go. They had enough people working on Destiny. They had expanded the studio. This isn't we can't find anyone to come work with us. The game isn't making enough money. Or they took that money, more realistically, they took that money and they wasted it. They put it into other things that never made any more money in return. This isn't a staffing issue. Sorry, I didn't mean to spit on you guys. I apologize. So is Destiny finally going to die? Look, we have at least 2 more years of Destiny. We have this year and next year, at the very least. Base Joe Blackburn willing PvP maps into existence. I miss my man. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It's gonna be kind of rough, but at least we get raids. At least we get raids. So. It's crazy, but they took the $1 billion for employee retention. I think it was closer to $2 billion for employee retention, and wasted on a MOBO and third-person hero game. No, I mean, look, we knew last time that all of that had been used up. I'm sure a lot of that is in exec bonuses or whatever, but they doubled the size of the studio, man. Like, that money went somewhere, but. It was 1.2. Okay, but I knew there was a 2 in there. That's my bad. Yeah, we'll fucking see. I don't know. We'll have to, and we still have 2 episodes, man. Who knows? But we still have raids, so I'll still be here for the raids and dungeons and stuff. So the rad team seems to be about the same size as far as I can tell. So how would you fix comp? Make it so I don't lose 1 billion points every time I lose. Oh. I would fix comp by stop giving me the worst teammates possible. That's how I would fix comp. If you were the Bungie CEO, what dream cars would you buy? Okay, so I'm not like a big car dude at all, but let me tell you, I would take any of your kidneys right now and sell it on the black market if I could buy the EV Corvette the E-Ray that's coming out. Holy fuck, man. That's like... this is the only, like, This is a completely EV car. I'm stealing all of your kidneys. I don't give a fuck, bro. The 2024 one is out, but you never want the first model for new things like this, in my opinion. Now the 2025 one. Yeah, other than that, whatever. Yeah, I have no idea. If you were the Bungie CEO, what guitars would you buy? Oh, now you see, I already have my dream guitar. I already have my baby. Okay. Also, if you guys are new to the channel, I'll show you my baby here. I don't think I think we're fine. Have any doxing information? Okay, I'll show you my baby. This is my baby. This is the greatest guitar of all time. Okay. But I would get, they make different colors of these. So they have like a black one with white splatters. I would just get all of them. It's my probably favorite earthly possession. But yeah, it's a sacrifice I'd be willing to make as CEO. So, oh man. So, do you think there will be a large drop in player count on Steam as part of the new content pack format? I don't fucking... I think the better question is do we think we'll see... I don't think the lows are going to change necessarily. I think the highs are what are going to change. What does it look like? It's the resurgence that I think we will lose a lot of. So... You have a black and white one? You have that one? Yeah, that's fucking blood. That's sick as fuck, bro. If you're a Bungie CEO, what team gets fired first? Can I fire all of the other execs so I just get a bigger bonus? Is that allowed? Or... canceled projects. Some elements of Payback seem to be shaping up well. The third-person adventure spin-off shooter Luke and Mark were doing, I have not heard anyone say it was just a flat-out bad idea or terrible in practice, even if the concept sounded like a significant departure for the series. I'll say it sounded fucking awful. And I'm like, high-key kind of glad that didn't happen, to be completely honest. I mean, content's content, I suppose, but fuck. It would have been so soul-crushing for me to see a third-person Destiny game and just be like, and feel nothing. You know what I mean? It would have been disgusting. I'm really glad I don't have to go through that. Oh. Have heard multiple people say that of all projects, Gummy Bears seems the most promising, the game that is going over to Sony under a new team. It has MOBA and Smash Bro-ish fighting game elements and is supposed to be very fun. I don't know what the fuck that means. I have tried a couple MOBAs. I had a friend that was really into Smite. I hated it. He got me to try League of Legends as well. I hated it. But I like Smash Bros. All right. So I don't know what the fuck that's about. I guess I'll... No, I don't even know if I'll try this, to be honest. I don't know. I guess I can try it and label the stream like the game that killed Bungie or some shit. I don't know. The game Sony stole from Bungie or something. I guess I'll try it, but I'm just not. I am not the target audience for that. Destiny 3 was and is considered too big of a risk in the current market. The idea was to split up Destiny as an IP into more manageable components. For the PvE portion, we have now continuing in Destiny 2, Payback for an adventure genre expansion, a mobile Destiny game from NetEase, and spinning out a separate 3v3 Crucible game channeling Trials. It appears as none of this is happening now, alongside Destiny 3 never being in production in the first place. There are no plans to just shutter Destiny, however. The long-term rebranding remains unclear, but it's Destiny 2 Frontiers content only for the indefinite future, and Marathon remains the big thing right now going into Destiny into 2025. I don't know what the fuck any of this is, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what this is. Why is every streamer hating on Payback? For years, they wanted an open world Destiny looter shooter. What's the one thing? The one thing consistently that makes Bungie games magic? It is their ability to make first-person games that feel perfect. Better than anything else in the market. This is probably the dumbest thing they could have done. I don't care if it's hero-based. I really don't care. If I'm Saint 14 running around, that's fine. If I'm playing a Diablo knockoff, the Walgreens version of Diablo where I'm Saint 14, that's not fucking fine, okay? Oh, it'd just be gross, man. I just know this shit would have come out. If this never happened, man, I can just see myself sitting here. I'd be streaming. We'd be watching the Game Awards or something, Sony thing, and Bungie hyped it up. Hey, we have a new announcement or whatever, and I'll be sitting here, and it'd be like a cinematic to start, and I'd be getting really into it. I'd be like, oh, this is fucking sick, and then it would swap to gameplay, and it's like third person over the shoulder. You're just like Zavala, and you're just like smashing things, and I know my face would just be like. I would lose. I can imagine the entire situation in my head perfectly. But I'm just so happy I don't have to sit here and do that. Fuck, man. Ugh, disgusting. It would, look, the only reason it would be third person is because of fucking cosmetics. Yeah. It would be fun if they allowed us to change camera perspectives. If their advertising is a third-person game, I can assure you that that was not a plan. It is very rare for a game to let you do that. I don't get your take. There are so many good third-person games. I have tried a lot of third-person games. And especially shooting third-person games always feel like shit, dude. The guns they have like no character. They're not interesting. It doesn't feel impactful. It is not fun. There are like a handful of third-person games that I think are fine. I think Fortnite's fine. The gunplay is the weakest part of Fortnite, in my opinion. I think Remnant was fine. Gunplay was easily the weakest part of Remnant. The only third-person game I ever played where shooting was good was Dead Space. That is it. Everything else is like the guns just feel fucking terrible. I played Helldivers and it was bad. I didn't like it. I played Helldivers. I probably put 5, maybe 10 hours into Helldivers and it just felt bad. I really wanted to like it because of the community hype. Because I love that sort of environment. It felt bad. Outriders played a shit ton of that. Felt bad. First Descendant, I've now put so many hours into First Descendant across the alpha, beta, and the full release. Feels awful. Gunplay in third person is ruined. Alan Wake was great. There were like 3 points in that game where you have to like seriously fire a gun. But also, if you want to go there, the weakest point of that game as well was the gunplay. But that Alan Wake's not a gun game, so it doesn't matter. It is a third-person problem. It's just bad. It's just bad. Look, if you enjoy it, that's great. I'm happy for you. If you like third-person games, you have opened up. It seems like every other game and their mom right now is a third-person game. So I'm so happy for you that you get to enjoy all of those games. For me personally, almost every single time I'm put into a third-person game, it immediately kills it for me. It's just how it is for me. It's just how it is. I grew up playing FPSs. That probably has a lot to do with it. And I'm sorry if anyone finds that super offensive or whatever, but I do not like third-person gun play. Almost ever. I don't understand how it's a third-person problem, though. It's clear the weapons feeling bad, that is bad for you. Weapons feel worse in third person. I don't know how else to say that. No, they don't make me motion sick, no. I don't know, man. If trading were in Destiny 2, more people would play. Brother, please. That's fucking Snurv's alt account right there. That's an insane thing to say, dog. I've never played Dark Souls, but I have played some Souls-likes. Well, so you know, I have watched a lot of also like my friends really wanted me to play Elden Ring, and this is honestly 100% my biggest hesitation to try Elden Ring is like I'll watch gameplay and it just doesn't like the combat like the third person is really nice for making the environment look good. Like I'll give it that 100%. The exploration in third person, Zelda games, that sort of thing are really nice. But like Elden Ring, like the combat feels very like heavy, and the third person definitely doesn't help that. And I don't know how else to say it other than it just feels like slow and heavy. And to me, that is not very appealing. I don't know how else to explain it. I'm sorry if you don't like my answers. I have played dozens and dozens of third-person games, and I almost never like it. So, I'm sorry if you don't like that. I feel like you're biased towards first-person games. You don't have to feel like that. I'll tell you that every day of the week. I just spent 10 minutes ranting about that. 100%. So it's just like, look, it's, you know, I'm happy some people like third-person shooters. I am glad I don't have to sit here and pretend to be excited about that. So, yeah. One of Destiny's biggest ongoing issues is that its player base is skewing much older than everyone wants to see, which is worrisome with higher-ups. You want to attract a younger crowd, and that was no longer happening, hence the desire for new projects like Marathon and Gummy Bears. Another reason why no Destiny 3. To be fair, when you have a franchise going for a decade, everyone is going to be older than when they started. And when you have a game that is as hard to make approachable as Destiny, you're not going to be pulling in younger people. So, like, I don't know what they expected here, but yeah. I just don't know. It's so weird. People don't want to grind for hours. Your friend would play if you hook them up with a raid exotic and everyone's vault is maxed out. Just go play a different game. I swear, dude. If you not everyone wants to grind to play. Let me tell you, the grind in Destiny has been fucking demolished over the last 2 years since Witch Queen. Crafting has already destroyed the grind. I like at this point, if you think Destiny is too grindy, it's just not the game for you. I'm sorry. And looter shooters, just not the genre for you. If you want trading, if you want to be handed guns, go play Call of Duty, go play RuneScape. I'm sorry, like, but yeah. Halo is not intended for a younger audience. When Halo came out, though, younger generations weren't like gaming as much yet, though. You know what I mean? Yo, Darwin, thank you for gifting a sub, my friend. Yeah, RuneScape has the trade hall thing. I just go play something. I just like, Bungie internally. Everyone does not trust leadership at all, but leadership does not really seem to understand that. That is a fucking awesome phrase, like quote. And some actually believe this weekend the situation went well, considering. The sheer amount of stuff that was done for the final shape was massive. This is so interesting, okay? The story was rewritten multiple times. Missions were redesigned multiple times. During the delay, they built a colossal amount of new content. So the Dread were in fact made during the delay. Dual Destiny was made during the delay. Verity was made during the delay, which actually makes so much sense. It actually makes so much sense that Verity, because it's so different, right? It is so different, and it's the only encounter where there's no traversal in between. Like, you know, you complete third encounter and then you fall into Verity. Versus every other encounter, if Verity wasn't there, it would be traversal, first encounter, traversal, second encounter, traversal, third, traversal, final. This makes so much sense, and I'm so fucking glad they put Verity in there, because I think Verity makes the fucking raid, dude. It's not my favorite encounter, but having that in there is like... And not having it in there, I think the raid would have been a lot worse, for sure. Especially because first and third are pretty much the same encounter. So half the raid would have been exactly the same, and that would have sucked. So this is sick. I'm really glad they added that. Flubber, thank you for the super chat. Once Human has been a good Destiny 2 alternative for me. Yeah, I played the Once Human beta and I really liked it. I just haven't got into it, so. Knocking crafting like a typical gatekeeping Destiny 2 streamer. Look, I don't really care how other people like approach the game. I could give two fucks, but I know for me, crafting has absolutely destroyed the replayability. And what I care about is my enjoyment of the game. So I'm sorry if you don't want to hear that, Maggie, but also you coming into my chat and saying like, oh, I love crafting should exist because that's how I enjoy it. Like, you're doing the same thing. So it's a little hypocritical for people to tell me that my opinions aren't valid. But I can absolutely say that crafting has destroyed my any sort of farming for raids, any sort of farming for seasonal activities. I think it is an incredible net negative on the game for players like myself. And I'm sorry if you don't want to hear that, but so this was cool. So, yeah. Clear, my opinion is best and yours is worse. Unless you agree with me, then you're clearly right and based. That's so real and true. Exotic class items were made during the delay. Ergo Sum was made during the delay, and GM Excision was made during the delay. The reason being that the studio was told that the expansion was make or break, and now they all feel lied to for obvious reasons. Now the new mantra is that marathon is make or break for the studio. If I imagine a final shape with a worse raid, with no Dread, with no Dual Destiny, with no exotic class item, with no Ergo Sum, and no GM Excision to a lesser degree, I mean, I'm gonna be completely like 100% honest with you all right now. The delay saved final shape. Yeah, I can link this. 100%, at least for me. The expansion would have been, especially without Dread, the expansion would have been, and with the big two for me are the Verity encounter and the Dread. If those two didn't exist alone, the expansion would have been it would not be the best expansion in my opinion. Dread and then the ability to make what is in turn the best raid. I mean that carried the expansion, and it's absurd. It is crazy that this was just because of the delay. I wonder if Prismatic was part of it. If Prismatic was part of the thing, it probably would be listed here. But also imagine how much worse Prismatic would feel if we didn't have the exotic class items. So in a way, Prismatic was saved as well because of this. So It is pretty insane. I'm trying to imagine the raid without the dread. Just a lot of Cabal, I guess. Cabal, well, it would have been, so I guess every encounter is a species and then dread, right? So like first encounter is Vex and dread. Second encounter is Taken in dread. Third encounter is Cabal and dread. Fourth encounter, which didn't even exist before then, is Hive and dread. Fifth encounter is just dread. No, Scorn and dread. Oh my god, dude, the raid would be so much worse. Imagine the raid. The two things that made the raid hard on day one were like the dread, the attendants, and the subjugators and all of those, and Verity. And this raid would have been a joke if this delay didn't happen. That's crazy, dude. Yeah, so it just would have been, every encounter would have been just a different species. Still, but it would have just been that species. It would have been such a pushover. This delay literally, like, I just don't even know, man. It is crazy that 4 months made this big of a difference. But I guess that is like, you know, almost double. Like, I don't know how long this was in development. If you look at the timeline, it looks like they usually take between 6 and 8 months ish. I believe historically. So I guess it was 50% to 100% more. It was probably closer to 50% more development time, but fuck, man, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. So. What are your thoughts on the Witness fight? I think the Witness is a very good encounter, but it's not the best in the raid. I think, honestly, is it? I was gonna say I think second encounter is a better fight, but I don't know if that's true. I really like the Witness mechanic. I really like a lot of the Witness stuff. I think it's like, I wish if the Witness fight had like one more layer on it, like if there were plates, you know, if Verity wasn't in the raid, then you would have to do plates for 1, 2, 3, and then it just wouldn't be a Witness. So if there was like one set of plates you had to bounce or something, I feel like the Witness encounter, the mechanics feel a little shallow, and that just means like some people are on ad clear or whatever, but the damage is like perfect. But I do really like it's clever, like the hand thing. It's hard. I like it as an encounter. I wouldn't say it's like one of my favorite encounters of all time. I definitely think it's one of my favorite damage phases. But I think it's just together as a whole package. This raid is so fucking good. So. It would have looked so out of place with the Witness in the back and just like a ball on the field. It would have been still scored, but yeah. But very cool. I think this is a really interesting insight into this. The new player onboarding experience remains bad because the team who did the Cosmodrome Shah Han stuff got one crack at it, and then essentially no one ever tried anything of significance again. I just don't know, man. I just don't even, like, what are these decisions? Are these people serious? Whatever exec team that was like, okay, this game, only old people play our game. We're not attracting new people. So because of that, we're not making as much money. And because of that, we don't want to make a Destiny 3. But also, the onboarding experience, I say we give them $20 in 5 days to make it the first time. And if that doesn't work, fuck it. What are we do? What is this? Like, they made a huge improvement on what it was, didn't move the needle, so why would I spend more time and money trying again? Because they have already admitted, like, multiple times that the biggest problem is getting new people to come to your game. And it's like, it's the whole reason they didn't, that's the whole reason that is being cited that they did not make a Destiny 3. Is because they're just worried it's not as attractive to younger people. But if you don't like fucking try, like I just don't even know what's up. I just don't even know. Imagine your new friend wants to play, give him his loadout, and dude, dog, please. If you take the grind out of Destiny, it's no longer Destiny, man. The whole point of playing Destiny is to grind so you can do other stuff. It's like, it really, 2Z, like, I'm not being paid to be your therapist, but I think you really need to, like, reevaluate which game types you play. There's nothing, if you don't like looter shooters, that's fine. But, like, don't try to make Destiny something it's not, brother. Like, just, oh, man. It's crazy. I just don't understand. People do this all the time. It's like, there's too much grinding in my grinding game. I have to loot and shoot too much in my looter shooter. Like, what are... Absurd. Absurd. This is really interesting too. Bungie is essentially tied to games as a service games forever. So they kind of perfected the model, which almost fucked them over. I mean, it kind of did, honestly, at the end of the day. And if you look at how many games as a service games fail, like, this is, I would say, almost, I don't, maybe someone disagrees with me, someone more closely tied to the industry. But to me, this seems like one of the nails in the eventual coffin is this right here. It's just, imagine, like, yeah, it's just, fuck, man, I don't even know. Because this sort of game is only, there can only be so many of them. You know what I mean? The problem to solve is the solve for new player onboarding is to make all previous content free, which is in direct conflict with the missing revenue targets. That's fair. Yeah. And that sort of stuff, yeah, if you're removing old content, it's just very hard. And that's why, like, a fresh start seems like the obvious way to go. But it's like a cyclical thing. Like, they can't get new players to play. Especially younger people. And because of that, they're scared to invest into Destiny 3. But it's like Destiny 3 could be the solution to this. I don't know. It's like, it doesn't matter. We're fucking years past it, any of this to even matter. None of this discourse means anything anymore. Nothing single player. Matter was not live service and not an FPS. It's interesting that he clarifies FPS. So that was part of the reason it got axed. Many departments have been gutted after layoffs. Much of QA is outsourced to people who are unfamiliar with even the basics of the game. Never get my triumph score back. Everything has been divided up into strike teams now, even individual missions and activity modifiers. They form, are dissolved, reform. The speculation is that higher ups saw that players liked one thing, they called things strike teams. So now there are a million strike teams. This has to be parody. There is no fucking way this is real. This is crazy. This way, it is such a fucking funny thing. They're like, oh, they really like when things are called strike teams. That's just fucking fun. It's just so funny to think about. I can do, like, this probably is a decision that, like, Pete Parsons made, but I could just see him sitting in a meeting and being like, what was trending about Destiny this week? And they were like, the PvP strike team. People are loving that. He's like, what if we just dissolve everything and make them all strike teams? Oh, it's so fucking funny to me. This is ridiculous. They love the term strike team. Let's reorganize the entire company. Oh, it's so fucking funny. That is unbelievable, honestly. And I like, maybe the reality isn't as comical as that, but in written form, this is just comedy. You know what I mean? Oh my god. Get my coffee with milk, strike team, strike maxing. Do you think the players are partly to blame for demanding and consuming the content so fast over the years? I think blaming the consumer for something is pretty silly. Unless, like, you know, there are certain, like, industries, like, where you could say, this happens with plastics a lot. Like, oh, consumers prefer, like, plastics that feel like this, that look like this, even though it would be more beneficial. Like straws. Straws are a great example of this. We have been conditioned over fucking 100 years, 50 years to like straws a certain way. And so when they try to make like paper straws or PLA straws, people don't like it as much. So in like, I think there's, in that sort of situation, there is some blame on the consumer at some, to some level, but that's like that's a deeper commentary of like how capitalism works in general. But for something like this, where we're just playing something, like, blaming us for their failures as an executive team is ridiculous, in my opinion. So, company sign. I wonder if this format of strike teams is actually worse for development. The bullet point really doesn't take a stance. It is really interesting. Like, I have to imagine, like, if you're constantly getting moved to other teams and like working on different parts of the game where you're like less familiar with it, or less familiar with like the workflow or whatever, that does seem like it would be worse, right? It kind of depends, I guess. Is it like a group of people make a mission and then there's like other people making missions and then they all finish and then they get dissolved and then they get reshuffled around and make new missions? Or is it like, all right, today you're working on Crucible maps. All right, tomorrow you're working on strikes. Or, well, not tomorrow, but like next month you're working on strikes. All right, now you're making a campaign mission. Like, how do they have these people in buckets of like their areas of expertise or their interests? Or because like, while the technical sides of like making environments might be similar, you know, the thought, the workflow or the thought process that goes into making a Crucible map is going to be very different than like making a strike or making an activity or whatever. So I guess it kind of depends how they form them. Yeah, but like, it seems like it'd be worse by the description. But like, this strike team format led to some cool shape in the final shape. That is a really good question. Like, when did that start? That is a good point. And did this affect, like, if, because the campaign team is separate usually. Did they just leave the campaign teams alone and like only do this strike team shit for episodes? I mean, there's still a lot of questions there, but it's so fucking funny. I don't even. Yeah, I think the over delivery slide was extremely damaging for the public to see. We should have never seen that. It's not like anything. I don't think this has anything to do with like public perception. Look, we have had multiple reports. Almost all of these financial problems seem to be caused by them investing in incubation projects, and then they ran out of money. They were in the red for too long before any of those incubation projects could make them money. Investment and research and development, they're very important, but as we talked about the last couple of streams, you need to see returns from those things, at least some of them, even if it's a small, like I said, in chemical like research, the return is about 5 to 10% of projects are slated to make you money. But it definitely can't be zero. Like, the majority of things are going to fail, but everything can't fail. It's just obviously not a monetary model that works. So I don't think any of it, like, maybe the getting new people to play is like a public perception thing, but the situation that we are in now seems very much divorced from that. So yeah, exactly. Like, even Marathon will be the 5 to 10% of the incubation projects, right? Like, it's a higher percent because they had fewer things, but it is like the thing that worked. But even that, Christopher Barrett said he started working on that right after Forsaken. So like, that's been in development for 6 years or whatever, 5 years, however long it's been at this point. And so you got to think, like, it started off small, but it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows, and you have to pay salaries, and you have to they have all the hardware and the software and the infrastructure and everything that they're building for that. you know, anti-cheat and dedicated servers and everything. You have to pay for all that stuff. And if it's not making you money yet, it's just a pit until it does make you money. And that's one thing that they were doing, yeah, right? Like, sounds like Gummy Bears is pretty far along. We've heard reports that Matter was pretty far along before it got canceled. You had the Destiny one as well, at least Mobile Destiny and Payback, that were in some form of development. So they had like 6 or more incubation projects that are just gone. So it's crazy. I'm so glad the Guardian Games Strike Team brought us skimmers. I hope the skimmer strike team makes the dismount less clunky. Hey, if that being said, if strike teams give us more unique shit like that, like, what if the reason we had so much like variety and content this time around was like, okay, like, I don't want to be rude, but there's a pretty obvious pattern with seasons where it'd be like, oh, there's a good one, and then there's a bad one, and then there's a good one. And you could generally say, like, I have a pretty good idea of what team worked on this just based off of like the activity usually. Even if you didn't know, like, thinking back, if I'm like, all right, Season of the Plunder, I don't remember exactly where that was in that AB, but I have a pretty good guess based off of Season of the Plunder and how that worked. And so, like, maybe these strike teams get us a little bit more mix up on that pattern. I'm going to keep it real. Strike team development format seems great based off of how we've gotten it recently. I hope that eventually this seems like something they'd be allowed to talk about. So maybe I'll reach out to some of my friends that are still at Bungie later. I'll let all this cool down and see if we can get like an interview for a stream or something, because I'm really curious of how this works. So Deep and Witch were really back to back, were both really good. Yes, they were. That is absolutely true. But Season of the Deep had salvage, so you know. I would say the same for Chosen Splicer, but not as much. But I have a question. Will we get 2 dungeons and a free raid this year? Like, episodes are a bit different, but seasons should be like raid dungeon. Yeah, we don't know. We know we're getting 2 dungeons. We don't know if we're getting another raid. What we do know is Bungie currently has a raid in development, and it is looking pretty good. Now, if this was a raid for Frontiers, it depends how you interpret looking pretty good. Do you interpret that to mean that it is in some way it's in some playable state? Because if this was for Frontiers, maybe they'd have like concepts or ideas or designs drawn up. But I don't think, like, maybe I have a total misunderstanding of how long it takes them to do raids. But I don't think the Frontiers raid would be like in a gameplay environment yet. So if we interpret is looking pretty good as being in a playable state, even if it's like gray blocks or whatever, that to me suggests there's a raid coming much sooner than Frontiers, aka possibly a reprise raid. But that is a very vague tweet by a person who is under NDA, so they couldn't explain. And that is my interpretation off of my limited understanding of development cycles. So take that for what you will. But the way that tweet was worded to me says, I wouldn't rule out a reprise raid, is what I'm going to say. So no way they're that far in development of a new raid. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. How do you feel the impact on Bungie since Luke Smith is now left? I'm going to be honest, dog. I mean, Luke Smith hasn't been working on Destiny 2 in a very long time. So I don't think anything's going to change. What was I mean, it's probably like Into the Light, maybe Witch Queen. We don't know for sure, but it was right around that time where we stopped hearing from Luke Smith. Was probably around the time where he kind of went to go work on other things, other Destiny things. So I really wouldn't stress. It was when Joe took over as game director, probably, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. We know he was working on Payback, so like other not Destiny 2 things. The question is, how long was Payback or Mobile Destiny or all the grander stuff he was working on? How long has that been in the works? Because that's pretty much how long it's been since Luke Smith has had meaningful impacts on Destiny. So years. I don't think anything's going to change compared to that, the quality or anything like that. So if the raid is new, it would be on the Dreadnought, I think. Probably it's not after Frontiers. I don't think they're going to do a dungeon and a new dungeon and a new raid for the same expansion. That's a bit of a copium. Look, I'm like Copium King, but that's a bit much for me personally. I think, yeah, reprise raids, I would love for it to be Wrath. Give me that Wrath of the Machine Strike Team, baby. It's got that nice, you know, it sounds good together. But, you know, it's probably not. But maybe it is. But probably not. But maybe not. I didn't realize the next dungeon was in the Dreadnought. No, we don't know where it is, but we do know that it's that season. We pretty much, I mean, it's not confirmed, but it is very likely that we get one dungeon next season in a dungeon or episode 2 and one in episode 3, since we're almost certainly not getting a dungeon this season. But maybe I'm wrong on that front too. Who the fuck knows at this point? Not really. Shadowkeep had a dungeon in a raid. Shadowkeep was 5 years ago or whatever, and that was before we were getting 2 raids and 2 dungeons a year. That is a significantly different environment than we are in right now. No. We definitely get a dungeon next season. Oh, I don't want to say definitely. We are very likely getting it. We know we are getting 2 dungeons this year before Frontiers, because we've already paid for it. We already know that. And we're almost at the end of this season, and we know there's a giant exotic quest coming. So unless they go giant exotic quest and then dungeon, it'll be dungeon episode 2, dungeon episode 3. But I'm kind of a 6-month-old new player. Should I be worried about this whole drama? Or, dude, just enjoy the game while you can. Don't worry about it. This definitely, like, this sort of stuff is definitely affects people who are, like, addicted to the game a lot more than people who are new to the game. So don't worry about it, buddy. Just enjoy all the content, especially if you've only been playing for 6 months. That means there's 4 years of content still for you to play. You're fine. You're fine. Two dungeons in one season? No, I don't think so. Maybe, but no, I don't think so. Even with updates, many tools are exhausting use and everything takes forever. And if Destiny 2 content is still being added, there will indeed be more vaulting for technical reasons alone. Though whether the no more expansions content vaulting rule applies is unclear. This is very interesting to me because when like Luke Smith or, you know, executives or higher ups are saying, oh, there's technical limitations, this is why we're doing it, you could definitely look at that as like not necessarily an excuse, but kind of like how they're selling it to the public. But when it is actual like developers, like people who are using these tools and seeing the effects of this, when they are saying things like this, it has a lot of credibility to me. So definitely, but if like this is so much of a problem, this is like another huge reason that like a Destiny 3 seems like it would really be ideal, you know, be part of the pre-development, build new tools, you know, simplify the process. I don't know what that looks like, but there's got to be ways to do it, I would imagine. I just don't know. It's really interesting. And, you know, this might be like different for Destiny. I mean, it's going to be. But so a while back, 3 years ago, Call of Duty, or 3 or 4 years ago, Call of Duty moved into this like model where everything is modular. And so like you can download the campaign, or you can download PvP, or you can download zombies, or you can download Warzone, but it's all like separate. And I'm curious if something like that would work in any aspect. Like could you pick like PvP for Destiny or whatever? What does that look like? What benefits does that give game developers? And if that is feasible for something like Destiny, I wonder if that was ever considered, or if that's like a bottom-up thing. Like, I don't know the back end, the developer side. I have no idea what that looks like. But it was just something when I was reading where they were like, oh yeah, they were gonna have a separate PvP thing and a separate this and a separate that. That's like how that I kind of envisioned that in my head. So I don't know. I hope we get a Europa dungeon as well. Yeah, that's kind of like what I assumed, Quacks, but I don't really know what that looks like. I don't even know what benefits like Call of Duty gets for that. Is it just people can choose to not install as much, so it's like better for the consumer, or is there a developer thing to it as well? So it would never happen, but what would your opinion be if they made a serious patch of the game and then left it without updates for 2 years to work on Destiny 3? Destiny 3 would take a lot longer than 2 years. I'm like, if they start on like pre-production work for Destiny 3 right this second, still 7 years out. Like, there's no way. There's no way. Like, no way. I mean, they haven't done any of the planning or literally anything. I mean, years out. Years. So yeah, that's one of the things that kind of worries me, because we know that Destiny 3 isn't in development and they don't seem interested in a Destiny 3. So it's just like we're just delaying. You know what I mean? Like every every day they don't do a Destiny 3 is a day further away. You know what I mean? But it is like we'll be fucking dead. Marathon's been in development since Forsaken 6 years ago, and they're nowhere near done. I wouldn't say they're nowhere near done. I mean, they've been having playtests, like not public, but like streamer playtests and stuff. I think they're close-ish to done. But yeah, like Marathon, which is a PvP game, which is like, from all understanding that I have, objectively way easier to make than whatever the fuck Destiny is. 6 years, you know what I mean? Yeah, that'd be cool, Chemo. That'd be cool. So yeah, I don't know. So let's say 7 years and we just got Marathon. They got to start at some point. I mean, do they? If they don't think Destiny is, if they think they can just support Destiny 2 like this, I mean, that's the question, right? We still have one more article that we're gonna look at, but that's the question. Is we know that Bungie is only Marathon and only Destiny from here on out, but the question is well, if Marathon doesn't do well, does Bungie exist at all? You know what I mean? That almost seems like a final nail in the coffin if Marathon doesn't do well. If Marathon does super well, are we moving away from Destiny? Do they truly envision a future where it's 50-50? I don't really have any of the answers to that. I have no idea. I don't know. Like, do they, like, you know? So my point being, let's say Marathon does decently well. Okay, then does the focus become, okay, now we need the next Destiny thing? Do they Bethesda it, or they like leapfrog? Like, what happens? I don't know if Destiny 3 will ever be a thing. I don't know. Yeah, Eli, we're talking not right now. We're talking years out. Like, okay, Destiny 2's already existed for 7 years. For a long fucking time. 7 years, something like that. Do they want it to go 7 more? I mean, there eventually has to be something, or nothing, I guess. But, I don't know. Yeah, if that's the case, Bungie will exist in name only, but in-house Sony studio. Yeah, like, but I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's a Bungie as we know it future if Marathon doesn't do all right or well. So I don't know. So imagine Haunted Leviathan as a reprise raid. Yeah, I've been saying that for a while. I think that'd be sick. So Sony's going to want a Destiny 3 eventually. I'm not sure they do. They might just want the brain trust of Bungie. They might be like, oh, this employee's really good at what they do. Let's put them over here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. No, Eli, sorry. We understand that. We're reading that. But you can, that is a finite solution. That is not a forever. That is the foreseeable future, right? But we are saying, wait, like we just saw that there are technical limitations of how big Destiny is right now. That only gets worse. So at some point, it's either going to have to stop or something new, you know? I mean, those are the two options. Now, I'm not saying next year. I'm not saying 2 years. I'm not, not 3. We're talking 7+ years, which is usually that's a pretty common development line for at least, like my neck of the woods and research and materials and stuff. Usually it's like, all right, what's the next thing 7 to 10 years out is where like you have teams like looking. So we're, so. But we shall see. This is a second article. I'm not sure what extra information this has. On Saturday, I published a piece laying out where Destiny is going from here based on some inside information, expanding on other reporting and extremely vague hints from Bungie itself. The era of massive years of Destiny 2's content is ending. The game itself is not, even as some of the community are acting like the group playing the violin as the Titanic sank. The point is that Destiny 2 is living on, just dramatically changed. And one of the side benefits may be that, well, it could be easier to stay current with, most likely, and possibly cheaper too. The basics of what Destiny 2 is turning into now. 2 main releases a year. The first is something akin to an old expansion on a smaller scale. This should include the basics like a new destination, raid, and campaign. But if there is a comparison point, it may harken back to something like Shadowkeep, Destiny 2's smallest mainline expansion. However, in terms of narrative, this should be where we leave the solar system and explore other worlds. It's unclear if this content is paid or free, though I imagine it at least would be cheaper than the current expansion, if nothing else. This has to be paid. If everything is free, how are they making money? You know what I mean? Like, it's not one dungeon pass a year, if we even still get 2 new dungeons a year, isn't funding Destiny. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not convinced the population of the game is going to do what it does now and 1 billion people come back. So Eververse might not fund Destiny. Like, this almost has to be paid. It's got to be. Marathon is DOA. Nobody can see it, and there's nothing in the pipeline. Bungie is dead. No, that's not necessarily true. I mean, Marathon is in the pipeline. Gummy Bears was in the pipeline. It's like, once again, this is not like a lot of what Sony is going to see in Bungie is the expertise that they bring, which is why instead of laying off 500 employees, they laid off half of them and then they hired half of them into other studios. There's a lot more to Bungie than just that. But also, writing Bungie off for Marathon is a very, very silly thing to do when we know nothing about the game. Yo, Christian, thank you for the super chat. I know this is crazy, but Destiny should have followed the Monster Hunter strategy. 1 game every 5 years, and the game gets supported for 3. In our case, it can be supported with a yearly raid and smaller content. I don't really know much about Monster Hunter, so I can't really speak to that as much. But yeah, I don't really want to speak on it too much. But it, to me, as someone that is not in the Monster Hunter sphere, feels like Destiny 2 is just something much bigger. It just feels like it's in a whole different league. It's hard to that's why it's hard to compare Destiny, at least to me, to other looter shooters, because Destiny is like the most successful looter shooter. They're obviously doing something super fucking right. It was just the return of that was seemingly completely misappropriated, and that's where we're running into issues. It's not that Destiny 2 wasn't good enough, it's that the handling of the next was not good enough, in my opinion, or as I see it. Even if we get Destiny 3, how long before people clamor for a Destiny 4? Seems like a pretty temporary solution. I mean, Destiny 2 lasted 7, 8, 9. I mean, at least a decade by the time a Destiny 3 comes out. And in terms of video games, that's pretty fucking good. Definitely in the top percentages of longevities of games. So I feel like saying, why make Destiny 3 because people are just going to ask for a Destiny 4 is kind of like, why should I take a shower today if I'm just going to get stinky tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's kind of how consumerism works. It's like you make something until people want something else, and then you make that. This is Paul's article from this morning. It's good, but there's a reason WoW never made a WoW 2. What is WoW Classic? How is there a WoW Classic if they never made a different version of WoW? Also, WoW is a completely different thing and is a 1 in a billion video game. You know what I mean? WoW Classic is WoW 1. So they did make WoW 2? I've never played. I don't know how that works, but you guys can argue about that. I don't know, but it kind of seems like they've made a different WoW, and that's not a good example. But I don't really know how that works. Games, people like sequels. It's good, actually. I would argue it's very good to make sequels for games so they can be built on next-gen architecture. Imagine if it was like Black Ops 1 was all we ever got. And we never got Black Ops 2, and we never got Black Ops 3, we never got Black Ops 4 or Cold War. We're not going to get Black Ops 6. And just imagine all of the subsequent Call of Duties were built on Black Ops 1. That's bad. Then we would never get huge visual upgrades, we never get engine upgrades, we never get any of this stuff. It's like making like new games is a good thing. So it's just like, yeah, people would eventually ask for a Destiny 4, and that's like good because that means people still like your product. No Double Tap 2.0, so true. So no Shadows of Evil, that alone's a goddamn sin. Holy. What do you think about Sony outsourcing Destiny 3 to another studio within the Sony group? I think that is an impossible to answer question. I don't know what any of like their contracts look like. I don't even know if they're allowed to do that. Like, I know they own Bungie, but contractually, like, how does the Destiny IP work? I don't fucking know how any of that works. I'm not a lawyer. I wasn't involved in any of this. I have no idea. But also it's like maybe a possibility, but do we want it to be a possibility? I don't really know. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, hear me out. Crash Almighty is a dungeon. The Almighty fell very far through the atmosphere and hit the ground going like faster than at terminal velocity. It probably doesn't really exist much anymore. So I don't know. Look, I don't know if that is legally a possibility. I have literally no idea. I don't want to speak on that. I think it would be awesome to have a Destiny 3 in development with you know, assistance from other Sony studios. But you know, we don't. I don't know. I don't know if they even want to do that. I don't know if Sony wants to do that. It seems like Bungie doesn't want to do that. I don't know if this is there's a report a year ago or so, or 6 months ago, where it was like a lot of the Bungie leadership is just waiting until all their bonus, like I think it was a lot of the stocks, they're waiting for them to get vested, and then they'll get huge bonuses and then they can leave. Maybe after that happens, if that is still happening, or if that was real or whatever, like maybe. But I don't know. I have no idea. I have literally no idea. These are not things I have any inkling of an answer to, or no idea how legit they are, or what do you personally think that Destiny 3 would solve, though? I'm not trying to argue. I'm just curious to what your thoughts are, because I hear Destiny 3 a lot, but no one tells me why. When something has been going on for 8 years, let's say like The Walking Dead. It's about to start season 9, right? Not right now. This is a hypothetical situation. It's done. It is very hard for someone to look at something and be like, or a great example is fucking One Piece. I hear this all the time. Supposedly One Piece has 784 episodes. Who the fuck looks at that and goes, should start watching that? At a point, and especially Destiny, where you can't even play all the content. Like, most of the content is gone. Destiny has become an impenetrable fortress, where even if you wanted to go back and get caught up on all the content, you literally cannot. And so, like, with that in mind, and also there's 20 years of fucking lore here, and, well, 10 years of lore here, and it's just impenetrable. It's just not appealing to someone who has never played Destiny before. So, yeah, it's The Walking Dead if you couldn't watch seasons 1 through 3. Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. You had small little recap. You had the preseason recap of season 9, which showed, like, the highlights of all the previous seasons. You know? But if you start over a new Destiny, you can leverage next-gen architecture, either this next-gen or the next-gen architecture, probably the next-gen architecture. You can make a soft reboot where it's like, we don't follow our same characters, maybe do a time skip, there's something else happening, different part of the universe, something. Make it more approachable. You can now, like, preferences have changed. So, like, when we were the main target for this game, when we were younger, and they were developing it, there are certain decisions they made to appeal to us that now have changed as they start to look towards appealing towards the new generation of people. So, like, there's a lot of learnings they could take. They could oversimplify everything. They could build it on more, on architecture or whatever that allows them to infinitely expand it compared to Destiny 2. You could utilize the new hardware in next-gen consoles, all sorts of stuff. All sorts of stuff. So they can make it rated M. I don't think that is a good thing to do. M-rated video games almost always make less money. I mean, there are exceptions to that, like Call of Duty and stuff, but especially if they're worried about us being too old, they don't want it to be M. The second release, so the first release is Shadowkeep size. Hypothetically, it's at the beginning of the year. You get a raid, a destination in the campaign. The second release would be 6 months later, and something more akin to Into the Light, a free content drop with hopefully engaging activity and something meaningful to farm. Between these is the least unclear. No, it would be the most unclear, actually. It would be the least clear or the most unclear, but not the least unclear. Probably 2 pieces of content akin to seasons or episodes, but on what scale we don't know. There are mentions of temporary events called rallies during this time. We're not even going to go into that. The point is that it will be less per year. Likely significantly less, given that Bungie's Destiny team has more or less been cut in half these past few years through reassignments and mass layoffs, but now the clear priority is getting out Marathon and supporting that. Yes, the player count is certainly going to drop as Destiny enters this new era, and that's already started with the game's largest percentage drop-offs, even with the final shape. There's no reason to think that we will see big surges like we have the last few expansions if the next few are far smaller. I agree with that. But the idea is that less cash burn paired with fewer players may work out okay. The point is that there will be Destiny content to consume, but not nearly at the pace or volume that we have now. The world will not be abandoned Anthem style. The IP is not dead. Despite all this, I very much believe Sony and Bungie don't want that, but it will no longer demand so much time. It will be a much harder game to main. We'll likely see fewer Destiny-focused streamers, YouTubers, and journalists. I know it's disappointing, but that's the reality. A sort of limbo for the game where we know this is where things are going, and it's been triple confirmed that no, there's no Destiny 3 coming. Anything other than that, other than what we're talking about, gets so far away it's not even worth starting. It's not even starting to be worked on. But Destiny lives, if only just. Wow, somber piece, Paul. Thanks for the uplifting words here, buddy. Thanks for that. Oh, fuck it all. So yeah, That's where we are, I guess. I think I need to run some battlegrounds. I will be here to cover it. I don't know what else the future looks like for me in this channel. You know, if I yeah, I need to. Okay, I've never been like 100%. Like I've covered other games, I've done stuff marginally, but like my approach has always been like what I'm interested in. It just happens that for the last decade, Destiny has been my main game, and as it starts to slow down, I will surely be interested and pulled into other things, and I will stream or make videos or both on those. I'm really excited for Zombies. Hopefully it's good. Very unironically excited for Marathon. And so, but whenever there's Destiny content, I will be here to cover it for sure. You still think Solstice next week? Yes. But I mean, at the end of the day, like the you know, if there's a new Borderlands, I'll cover that. If there, like, I'm interested in a lot of franchises, and I can't wait for them to happen. But it's just a waiting game at this point. So. If you guys don't know, this, the champion doesn't always spawn on core, so. Or these simulated guys, so I'm gonna just skip that one. We still play our fan-made ARG if it comes out after the game dies? Yeah, let's fucking do it. What a useless company. I don't necessarily know about that. I think that's a little harsh. Are you gonna watch the Borderlands movie? Yeah, I'm gonna watch it, but it's gonna suck. You know, there are... I would encourage everyone to remember that there are very passionate people working on this game that are not responsible for any of the decisions that have been made. Very passionate, talented people. So I would just encourage everyone. I don't really like when people use Bungie as like an overarching, like, singular, fuck me, entity. You know, if you talk about like the leadership team or something, that's completely different. But I think just the terminology there is a little harsh for what it was. Hammy, thank you for the 21 months. I've hung the cape and I'm officially done with Destiny 2. That said, I'm here for you, not the game. Regardless of what happens, you've got support. I'll see you back when the next dungeon or raid launches, buddy. But thank you for the support. I appreciate you. We finally get those BioShock streams. Hey, when the next BioShock game comes out, dude, I'm going to stream the fuck out of it. I'm so excited. These simulated things, I made a video kind of going over it. It's hard to explain. There's like a specimen quest you have to complete from Failsafe, and then you find these portals throughout the battlegrounds, and when you walk up to them, they will spawn if you have completed that quest. Like, there will be another raid coming. It has literally already been confirmed that there is another raid in the works currently.
The entire planet. Be careful, Guardian.
So we know there's at least 2 dungeons and a raid coming. And all of the insiders that have been talking to, like, Paul and everything, people that still work at Bungie or did, say that the plans are for the yearly, like, Shadow Keep sized expansions. There will still be raids as well, as the expectation. So at this point, we have confirmed at least 1 more raid and at least 2 dungeons, and an internal expectation on at least 1 raid per year following that. And I would be kind of surprised if we didn't get dungeons following that as well. But I've never played System Shock now. It's like I'm so close. Shadow Keep size expansions twice a year sounds kind of nuts. Shadow Keep expansion once a year into the light 6 months later, with maybe some episodes or seasons in between. But nope, still only 1 size expansion. There's a recent game I think called Nobody Wants to Die. Gives major Bioshock vibes based on the trailer. That's interesting. I'll have to look up a trailer. I'm really excited for Judas as well. The problem with those games, like, they're fun to stream, but I can't really make videos on that. So, I mean, I could, but I don't really want to become one of those, like, collectible YouTubers, you know what I mean? It's not really what I'm looking forward to do with my life. Now, if there's a game that does, like, puzzles and shit, ARGs, holy fuck, sign me up, boys. That's actually how Destiny 1 worked originally. The Taken King is the big expansion. They April update 6 months later. It'll be different than that because the expansion, the yearly expansion, will not be as big as the Taken King. But the 6 months update will be better and bigger than the, even if just ever so slightly bigger than the April update, which was kind of a joke of an update. So, and plus we will have, once again, the seasons in between. So there will at least be something. It might not be a lot, but there will be something in between those as well. Whereas the Taken King was just like fucking down. So, hey Amy, thank you. Oh my god, holy shit. Thank you for the huge super chat, my friend. You're right, but I mean it. I played the game hardcore for the last 9 years. It's time I take it casually. I play the content I paid for it, but that's actually it. I got to work on other things. Yeah, I mean, dude, that's fair enough. Fair enough for sure. Hopefully, eventually, it rebounds, but. I think it's more than anything like a year of not incredible content isn't the worst thing, right? Or like, yeah, the amount of content that we're going to be getting is not necessarily like the worst thing in the world. It's not great, but I think the thing that kills me or that worries me more than anything, or the thing that, yeah, that I guess worries is the correct phrase, is the uncertainty of what's next. At least with the Taken King, oh fucking hell. At least with the Taken King, like, we knew there was bound to be something coming. We don't really have that anymore. We don't have that next huge thing to look forward to, even if it was a Destiny 3 and it was 5 years away. We don't have anything like that. And so, like, that sort of, there is a lot of just like, it almost feels like you just wait until it dies. You know what I mean? And that's not a good feeling for anyone. Yo, Philly, thank you for the super chat. If you want a good ARG horror game, check out Shipwrecked 64. Had me stumped a few times. That sounds awesome. I'm definitely doing it. Shipwrecked 64. Is it a solo game? Oh, I will definitely check that out. I love puzzle games. I have like 5 puzzle game concepts in my back pocket for when I have resources and skills. Dude, well, when that happens, my friend, shoot him my way, because I will play the shit out of him. Was something else announced about the game today? Something else other than what we already talked about? Or I think I read everything major. If I missed anything, feel free to tag me on Twitter or something. But I think we discussed everything major. I have played Tunic before. Very cool. Animal Well I've never heard of. I'll check that out as well. Yeah, we'll see, Viper. I don't know. I think the scary thing with fewer seasons a year, though, is like, let's say we had 4 seasons a year. Let's say the Witch Queen year, right? It was like, Risen was fine, Plunder fucking sucked, Haunted was fine, Seraph was top tier. And so it evens out a little bit. It's like, okay, that year had Seraph, and it had some good stuff from Haunted. So it kind of evens out. But now imagine you only get 2 seasons a year, and one of them is Season of the Plunder. That would fucking suck. Because it's not waiting 3 months for some playable stuff. It's waiting 6. So when you're producing more smaller pieces of content it's a little bit more forgiving. But now we have fewer pieces of content, and so if something's bad, it affects the quality of the game a lot more. Yeah, once Marathon gets closer to release, we are going to go through and play the original Marathon games, because I have never played them before. And I know the new Marathon game isn't the same. It's different, obviously, but it is definitely, I want to go through and play, because I've never played the original Marathons. And I do plan on playing the new Marathons, so that is definitely that's definitely a plan that we have.
Good news is we're halfway done. The bad news is that more vacs are converging on your position.
Solstice of Heroes is coming on Tuesday. We'll be grinding that out, of course. I thought Plunder was okay. I feel like we've had the worst season. Plunder, like, almost single-handedly killed the entire game, so it will forever be, in my opinion, the worst season by a lot. I mean, I have never felt disrespected as a Destiny player, with the exception of during Season of the Plunder. I mean, the updates were slow. The gameplay wasn't really that fun. The community event was an insult. The story wasn't interesting. Plunder was easily, in my opinion, the lowest point for me. Man, I don't really think Plunder was that bad. Seasonal weapons sucked. Expeditions were not great. Catch Crash was really good. I disagree. I think Catch Crash was fine. I think it could be considered an all right, like right in the middle seasonal activity. But of the Menagerie light activities, I think it's the second worst. I think Astral Alignment is the worst, but it is the second worst, like, Menagerie style that we have. Yeah, and the meta for the time was also fine. It was fine. It was all right. But I mean, literally, game almost died. It was just not fun. And the story, you know, it's very similar to some of my complaints with this. Although I think this season is a little bit more interesting. But it was very similar to this, where it was like, personal conflict, blah, 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 blah. And then, like, the important thing happens right at the end. So it was, like, just daddy issues between Ido and Mithrax. And it's like, that is fine. Like, that's an interesting story if it's not the only story that's happening. And I think it's really similar to this episode, where it's like, I actually think the Saint stuff is pretty interesting, and the relationship with Osiris and stuff. I just don't think it's interesting enough to carry. And so you have, like, the decision I don't like to do 6 weeks or 12 weeks really of that story, and then 6 weeks of, like, the more interesting Maya Sundaresh story. Whereas I think if you do fewer, or, like, you do both of those stories at the same time but less, I think it's much more interesting. The personal relationship aspect of Destiny I enjoy, but it has never ever ever been enough to carry a narrative by itself, in my opinion. So, like, in an expansion, like, you know, we had all the character stuff with, like, Cade and Ikora and Zavala. Like, that was interesting, and it was more interesting because it wasn't the only thing happening. You know, we had the witness shit, but I feel like this season is just like it feels very isolated, and during Plunder it was way worse. It was a very good argument, Scaro. However, pirate season. Fair enough. Maya's a very uninteresting character. I disagree with that, but I think Maya is a very interesting character. I mean, we just haven't seen a lot of that played out in the game, right? So, but I mean, there's a lot of great stuff there, but. Yeah, I'm very excited for episode 2, personally. Yeah, I'm just hoping these episodes are bangers, since it's like the last stuff, really incredibly full year of content we're gonna get for a long time. So I hope I hope it bangs. Also, I want to see more of what the Echo does. I want the Echo to be framed like an Infinity Stone. Like, I want her to use it and, like, threaten us with it and shit. Not just, I can control Vex. Oh. I want her to be like, actually, I can just, like, fuck you up now. If I really wanted to. Someone needs to die. Yeah, Esper. I am so surprised that, Dread was made during the delay. That's fucking crazy, actually. How do you feel about the new content model? I'm pretty worried, but really setting plans a year in advance is one thing, but like the execution is what matters, right? So maybe it'll be good. You know, I'm gonna go in, I'm worried, but I'm gonna go in with an open mind. I'm gonna play it no matter what, right? So I hope it's good, and we'll fucking see. We shall see. I understand she's possessing a Lakshmi corpse or something. Well, Lakshmi is a clone of her. It's a little bit more complex than that. Favorite raid reprisal by far? Crota, and it's not even close. Crota is the only one of the three that made like huge substantial changes to the raid. The other two, like Vault of Glass was almost identical. King's Fall made some quality of life stuff, which was kind of cool. But Crota is almost a different raid, and I love that.
We lost much information about Exos after the collapse.
So,
and even
but the real answer is Wrath when they release it in 6 months.
But since the Guardians opened the deep
3 months, sorry.
on Europa,
What are some of your concerns with upcoming changes to expansions? I mean, it's just less content, right?
involved exposing radiolaria to darkness. Clovis Bray called it
Less Destiny.
clarity, to hide what he had found. People went to him to become Exos, and became experiments instead. I wonder if the conductor knows about the
I'd be happy with
big
Crown.
on Europa. We will not tell her.
Pretty fucking good. They're kind of useless, but they're pretty good. Oh, did I get, hitting an assimilation beacon? I'm not blind. I got the, yeah, surely we got it right there, right? Okay, well, I think that's what I'm going to call it for tonight. You know, it'll be interesting what happens next. I'm here for it. We'll be hanging out. We'll be doing stuff. But yeah, we'll see. I'm glad we have some information. I'm very interested in when Bungie decides to say any of this. We're gonna have a yearly live stream. I'm very interested in what they're gonna do with the marketing for Marathon. But we're just gonna hang out and see what's up. So, okay, everyone. Have a fantastic night. Love your faces. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you very soon. Peace out.